cord to the computer. Hopefully I have enough space. Okay. Hello. Welcome to class. I hope you guys are excited about this class. I am super excited about this class. This class is near and dear to me. This has been a multi-year journey. Let's see. This has been a multi-year journey, and I have learned a lot of things to do, learned a lot of things to not do. The not do list is probably longer than the do list, and there's a lot of emotion tied up in things that don't work. So if you have ever experienced like frustration over working on your weight goals, and you've tried a bunch of things and they didn't work, raise your hand. Like, I am going to raise my hand because I've tried a lot of things. So hopefully I will be able to help you guys to just at least take another step closer to your goals tonight. So I'll start with my story. Back in mid to late 2016, I went to not a convention, like an event at my church. It was called Awaken. It was led by Priscilla Shire. She does Bible studies and things. She writes Bible studies, and she's a powerful prayer warrior. She created the movie War Room. If you guys have ever seen that, if you haven't, I recommend it. Anyways, her conference is called Awaken, and they just basically do like prayer. It's a night of prayer, and they cover different areas. So I won't get into that, but they covered the area of addiction, and they basically she asked anyone who was currently suffering from addiction to stand up. And this is like a room full of like, I don't know, 800 women. And I was, no lie, sitting on the front row. Because, you know, that's how I roll at church. I sit on the front row. I like to be close to the action. Also, I was like 3 feet away from Priscilla Shire, and I was like totally fangirling out the whole night. Anyways, side note. Oh, P.S. I should mention, my name is Jessica Lepsch. If you haven't met me, my name on the bottom says Jolyn Housewright. I'm actually borrowing her account. So just in case you're like, that's not Jolyn, that's why. So I was at this event, and I really felt convicted to stand up because I was full on in the throes of sugar addiction. And I mostly felt convicted to stand up because I knew that this addiction was getting in the way of living the life that God was calling me to live. He wasn't calling me to sit on the couch and eat cheesecake every night. He wasn't calling me to plan my life around my strong desire for desserts, which I was doing. I would literally, this is just being real. I'm gonna lay it out there for you guys tonight, because if anything about my story can help you to feel either A, not alone, B, inspired, C, equipped, then I'm gonna say it. Hence why I was a little bit nervous. But I full on would send my husband to Cheesecake Factory at all hours of the night to go get me cheesecake. And if he didn't want to go, I would seriously like throw a fit. Like, oh, I really want cheesecake. Come on. You know, like, my husband works really hard and he's tired at the end of the day. And I was totally being like a manipulative princess. So there's been much apology for that, but he would totally do it because he wants me to feel like a princess and he wants me to be happy. And so he would go get me cheesecake. Worst enabler ever. Like, I do not go to my husband. He's not my accountability partner. And he's sitting right over there, just so you know. I'm not gossiping. He is not my accountability partner because he will give me whatever I want. So if your husband wants to give you whatever you want, do not make him your accountability partner, just FYI. Or friends, whatever. Like, find an accountability partner who's going to challenge you. But I was having this full-on sugar addiction, and I felt very convicted about it. So I also, when you add this together with the fact that I knew that I had Candida overgrowth in my body, I had gone to see a natural doctor like 2 years before that. And he told me, he did a live blood cell analysis where he could see my blood, and he could, through a microscope, and he could see what was going on in there. He told me that I had a lot of fungus overgrowth in my body, which is like, ew, gross, but it is what it is. I knew that I had this Candida overgrowth. I basically, when you go online, if you're curious if you have Candida overgrowth, just go online, Google up Candida overgrowth symptoms. And we all have Candida in our body, but at the point, when you get to the point where you're having symptoms, like that's when it's an overgrowth issue, and it can cause all sorts of symptoms and even really serious health issues. So I was having most, if not all of the symptoms of Candida overgrowth, but I ignored it for 2 years because I didn't want to do the diet that you have to do to get rid of Candida. So it was too hard. Like, it sounded way too hard. Like, I didn't want to give up bread. I didn't want to give up sugar. I didn't want to give up fruit. Yeah, like, you have to give up a lot if you're going to go on this diet. And I just wasn't ready to do that. I was doing the best I could, and it just felt like it was too much. It was too much. So I knew that I had that. And when I realized, sugar addiction plus Candida overgrowth, I really felt like it was time to do something about it. People prayed over me. That was awesome at this Awaken event. But in the days to come, I just kind of moved in the direction of realizing I need to do something about this. I need to go on this Candida diet. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how that unfolded, but I probably should have journaled all this. But I did not do that. So I did not know the journey that God was about to take me on. So I didn't really think, oh, I need to journal this so I have a before story. Like, hindsight. So I decided to go on the Candida diet. And like the crazy person that I am, I decided to go on the Candida diet on Halloween day of 2016. So my children, we were talking about, trick-or-treating and all this stuff. And I just know myself with a bag of my children's candy. Like, anybody else rifle through their children's candy and take out the things you want and then give them the rest? My children, actually, I have no shame. Like, my children literally, it got to the point where they would literally pull out the stuff they knew I liked, which was so sweet, because that year they were pulling the stuff out that they knew I liked that day. And I was like, oh, no, thanks, honey. Mommy's not eating sugar anymore. And so that day was really hard, but I knew that if it's like the whole thing where, like, I'll start Monday, like, I'll start tomorrow after I have this big meal, after I have this dessert, I'll, put on my big girl pants tomorrow. And FYI, my big girl pants were really big. So I just decided, nope, we're going to do this today. Like, I'm going to start today. So Halloween was pretty difficult, but I had resolve. Like, there was this sort of underlying piece that I knew I was making the right decision for my family, for my body, for whatever. So I had a resolve. So I just decided, I'm just not going to, and when you decide to do something, you're excited, like the first day or the second day. It's the third day that really punches you in the throat. Like, it's the third day where you're like, what did I do? Why did I decide this? Why did I commit to this? I am not a super consistent person, not super regimented, disciplined. I don't know if you guys are familiar with StrengthsFinder 2.0. That is a sort of strengths test where you can find out your specific strengths and how you're hardwired. Consistency and discipline are my bottom. Like, there's 34 strengths. Mine are 33 and 34. So I had a lot stacked against me. Also, I had terrible eating habits. Now, granted, I had been already working on chemical swaps. I don't know if you guys know, like, how to get rid of toxic things in your home, like, you know, toxic soaps and shampoos and personal care products and cleaners and all of that. I had already been doing that for a couple of years. So I had a lot of success in that area. But food was sort of like the last, like I changed out, like my family does what I call the cleanest version of dirty. So like we still buy the frozen pizzas, right? But they're the organic frozen pizza. Like all the ingredients organic, non-GMO, like all of that. We do the fruit pops for my kids, but we buy the organic, no dyes, no preservatives, you know, like basically that's how, if we're going to do processed food, that's how we do it. We do no dyes, no preservatives, none of that. And so I had already been making those swaps over the years. And so I learned how to do that. Praise the Lord, because when I went on this Candida diet, I wasn't so drastically changing my diet that it was like a massive overhaul. Like I had already kind of done the massive overhaul, and now I was just taking things out of my diet that were feeding the Candida. So that is a huge praise. And that's the thing is, you know, God, he knows where we're going to end up. And so he equips us along the way, and he builds our capacity for what we need to do. So like, I didn't know that I was being equipped for this diet or this plan or this journey all along. So I wasn't going from, you know, eating Taco Bell several times a week to the Candida diet. I had already done the whole swap from going to Taco Bell 3 times a week to going to, you know, cooking at home. Like I had already made that transition. So I was very thankful for that. So what I did, and I will tell you guys that I have had so much failure over the years. When I was basically from the time I went to college, and I'm 37. So that was 17, 18 years ago, 19 years ago when I went to college. That was when my weight struggle started getting out of control. Like, you know, gained the freshman 15, gained the married 30, got, you know, started having kids. That totally wrecked my thyroid. I mean, I love my children. But they wrecked my thyroid. And so I pretty much just kind of gave up. Like I gave up hope of trying to lose weight. I gained 60 pounds with Alex and lost 50 of it, thankfully, but I still had that 10. And then I gained another 60 pounds with Ben and lost 50 of it. So now I was 20 pounds heavier at the end of all that. So by the time I got to the beginning of this journey, I was up to 196. And that wasn't the most I had ever weighed. I had weighed up to 230 when I was pregnant with Alex. And so, you know, that was the most I had ever weighed, but I gave myself the excuse that I had a child in me. So, you know, it's all good. But I just was like, I wasn't comfortable with that weight. I wasn't comfortable. And everybody's going to tell you, oh, the numbers don't matter. Oh, don't focus on the number. But hey, we're women. If you're a dude in here, then, you know, guys, think about this too. When you get on the scale, the number matters. Am I right? Like, give me some head nods, okay? Like, there's no beating that. There's no beating that. And maybe there is. Maybe there's beating that, and maybe that's what God has for me this year. I don't know. I will do another class on that later. But the weight, the number matters. Like, it is a measurement of, it is literally a measurement, okay, in pounds. So like that is part of how you can see your process, whether you're gaining weight or whether you're letting go of weight. Like it is a way that you see, okay, there's progress or there's fallback, you know, there's failure. Like it is just a way that we are ingrained to look at things. So there's not really a lot of getting away from that, but I can help you guys to see a healthier way to look at it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and tell you the number doesn't matter, you know, like the number does matter. That's how you figure out your BMI. That's how you figure out, you know, like fat percentage. It matters. So what I really wanted to do was I wanted to get back to my pre-child weight, which I knew was kind of a bit of a pipe dream because, you know, once you have kids, your body completely changes. So I kind of had loose expectations on that. And I really didn't know. I really wanted a healthy weight number. Because I know we all have a naturally healthy weight. I wasn't like, I was not fooling myself thinking I'm going to be like a size 2 model, whatever. I was never a size 2 model. Like, I don't ever remember being smaller than a size 6. Like, as a teenager, okay? As a teenager, I had a different build than the other girls. I was not tiny like the other girls. Like, I was on the bottom of the pyramid in cheerleading. Like, that was me. So I knew I was not fooling myself that I'm going to be like this stick thin, whatever model. But I did want to be happy about how my clothes fit. I wanted to be happy about the size of clothes that I buy. You know, like I was dreaming of a size medium. So, but everything I tried didn't work. Everything. I tried low carb. I tried low calorie. I tried low fat. I tried high impact, low impact exercise. I tried really dangerous diet pills. I have no idea what they did to my body back in the day. And they worked until they didn't work. I tried counting calories. I tried everything. So if you've tried any of those things, I've tried it too. The one diet I don't think I ever did was the Atkins diet. My mom did though. You know, like I did all the diets. So this has been a very up and down success, disappointment, but mostly disappointment throughout my life. And I was really just very tired at this point, just very tired, tired of looking back at pictures of myself with my family where I wasn't happy with the way I looked. And I felt like all those years, you know, I'm like, it's like a dark shadow over all the years I've spent with my family, because I look back at the pictures and all I see is, oh my gosh, like I'm in a fat suit. Like I feel like myself, but inside a fat suit. When I look at the pictures. So if anyone can relate to me, like how that is heartbreaking. And like, when you don't like the way you look in the mirror, when you don't like how clothes fit, when you buy clothes just because they fit, not because they look good. I have experienced all of that. And so when I got into this Candida diet, sugar addiction, like journey, I honestly was just hoping I would lose weight. Like I wasn't trying to lose weight. I was trying to honor the Lord with how I treat my body. I was convicted that I was addicted to sugar and I wanted freedom. I don't like being addicted to things. I don't like the chains of addiction. And so I wanted freedom. That was my main goal. I didn't want to have Candida overgrowth in my body. Candida overgrowth can lead to cancer eventually. I didn't want that. I didn't want that to be part of my future. And I knew that because of my lack of health or my poor health, I wasn't really fully engaging with my family, my children. Like, you know, our kids need a mom who is fully engaged, who's healthy, who's ready, who can fight for them, who can defend them, who can, you know, educate them, who can love on them, pray for them. Like they need us to support them in any way that we can. And we can't do it when we're sick and when we're tired and we're fatigued and we have, you know, health related issues that are related to weight. And I was starting to have like knee pain and all sorts of stuff that goes along with weight. So I just decided I'm going to work on Candida and I'm going to buckle down and I'm just going to do it. So I had a lot of resolve. I cut out sugar, gluten, dairy, corn, soy, any beans other than black beans, any rice other than brown rice, which later in my diet, I found out that beans and rice are a big no anyways, any kind. So I ended up having to cut those out. Every fruit except for green apples, any alcohol, and most vinegars. So that was everything that I cut out. And usually when I tell people this, they say, well, what do you eat? If you cut out all that, what do you eat? My answer is usually real food. So I eat real food. I eat chicken. I eat vegetables. I eat the things we all know we're supposed to be eating. I eat the things that we all kind of dread. You know, we're like, oh, great. You know, like I have to be hungry all the time and I have to eat like a bird. but I learned how to eat like that and be satisfied. So I'll share that with you. I had brain fog like you wouldn't believe for the first week. I could barely put two thoughts together. I was walking around like a zombie, just, oh my gosh, like what did I do? I can't even think. And then I was hungry for a week. And I was angry for a week. I was angry that I put myself in this position. I was angry that I let it get to this point. I was angry that I now had to be on this stupid diet that I chose. I had headaches for a week or two, pretty severe headaches. Pretty much all the things that you would relate to either grief or withdrawal. So if you're in any realm of counseling, you know, there's the 5 stages of grief. I think there's 5 stages. Rachel, type in the chat how many stages of grief there are. I know you know this. But then there's also withdrawal from addiction. And sugar is, I don't know if you guys are aware, but sugar enacts the same brain receptors as cocaine. So it is very similar to cocaine in the chemical makeup and how it, not the chemical makeup, but how it affects the body chemically and how it affects the mind chemically. So it is addicting and it is damaging. Make no mistake. It is just socially acceptable and not illegal. So we don't usually pay attention to it. So I was determined and I was resolved to not give up. So I pushed through the hunger, the brain fog, the anger, the headaches, the grief. And pretty much from week 2.5-ish on, I started having a lot more energy. I started having a lot more clarity of mind. I came out of the fog. I always say I came out of the fog. I started feeling less bloated and gassy. That's one of the symptoms of Candida overgrowth is bloating and gas. It's also one of the symptoms of inflammation caused by gluten. So if you have frequent like hard belly or hard bloated, like distended belly and gas, then it could be a gluten allergy. It took a while for me to see any changes in my body. Not gonna lie, it was like at least 3 or 4 months before I started noticing anything in my body. I did notice some changes in like my perception of food. That's probably the first thing I started noticing was I didn't crave sugar as much. I started actually having joy that I was eating these foods. I started thinking of it as less of a diet and more of a lifestyle. But I hadn't lost any weight. And I guarantee you I was putting myself on the scale every day in the hopes that I would lose weight. So like I would literally get, TMI, I would get up in the morning, strip down nude and get on the scale because you do not take your weight at noon. You don't take your weight with pants on, like pants are heavy. Yeah, so TMI, but there it is. And my body changed a lot before I started noticing any change in my weight. So my body started, like my pants started feeling a little bit looser. My stomach was now like soft instead of hard. And I wasn't feeling the bloating, and I started just having more regular digestive functions, if that makes sense. And I was starting to notice just more changes in my body before I started noticing anything in the weight department. It was probably 4 or 5 months before I started actually going down on the scale. So if you're just starting this journey, you know, hang in there because you might not see change right away. Look for little changes in how you feel. Look for little changes in your mindset, your outlook on food. I think probably the biggest blessing from this whole journey has been my relationship with food has completely changed. I never once, my whole life, mind you, when I was a child, somebody told me, women like sweets, men like savory. Has anybody ever heard that? Some of you, yes, some of you, no. If you haven't, then just consider yourself blessed. Because I just thought women crave chocolate and And that's just a thing. Like, it is a set in stone, concrete matter of fact that women crave sweets. And every time I meet a woman who says, yeah, I don't crave sweets, I go, what? Like, you're an odd person. You know, I want to be like you, right? Have you guys ever thought that when somebody says I don't crave sweets? Well, I can tell you right now, I have joined the odd person category. I do not crave sweets. Every now and then I'm like, you know, I would like this or I would like that. But it's not really like, oh my gosh, if I don't get that, I'm going to cry and, you know, just feel terrible. And manipulate my husband to go get it for me. That's real, by the way. That's real information. So that's probably been the biggest blessing. But I kept trusting. I kept trusting that this process was honoring God and it was the right choice. Because how could it be the wrong choice to, well, actually, people did tell me it was the wrong choice. There were naysayers. People were like, you really shouldn't be on that diet. It's not healthy to cut out fruit. That's not healthy. You shouldn't be doing that. You're not eating enough carbs. Like, you're going to starve. Like, you're not eating enough calories. You're going to starve. Like, you need to eat. Or people would say, why don't, you know, okay, so keep in mind, like, think about the timeline, okay? Started this thing on Halloween, so there's candy all around me, some of which was my absolute favorite. Then we move into November, which my birthday, okay? So my birthday happens. Christine was there. Yes, do you remember my weird cake that I made? I made myself a cake, okay, and it had no sugar. I later found out that I wasn't supposed to be having some of those ingredients, but that's okay. It's a process. So I made my own weird cake. I didn't eat any sugar on my birthday, and then we moved into Thanksgiving, where I ended up taking my own food to family dinner, and everybody was like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry you have to eat that. I'm so sorry you can't eat all of this food. I wasn't sorry because I knew that I was making the right choice. And I felt so much better by that time because this was a month and a half in. I felt so much better by that time. And I was already not missing things that I knew had been hurting my stomach, my gut, my whole lifestyle. So I was trusting God and that I was honoring him and making the right choice. But it was challenging. It was challenging to go to restaurants with family. Like, we had one time where we go to lunch every Sunday with my husband's parents. And there were a few Sundays in there where I stayed home because I couldn't eat anything at the restaurant. Eventually we found a happy place. We found a couple of restaurants where I knew I could go, and we would eat there every time. So yes, I did get tired of them, but you know, whatever. And there was one time when we went to an Italian restaurant and I sat there. I ate beforehand because I knew there was nothing on the menu I could have because I had to look at the menu before I went. And the smell of the pizza and the bread, like I do actually miss pizza. Not gonna lie. But the smell of the pizza and the bread, it was too much. It was too much. And people were looking at me like, why aren't you eating? Why isn't this woman eating while everyone else is eating? And I went home and cried. I cried a lot because I was like, man, like, I just can't handle this. Like, it's too hard. So I just didn't go for a few weeks. I didn't go with the family. I stayed home. You know, I made an excuse. So, you know, if any of my family, if you end up watching this, now you know why I wasn't there. But no, but I did eventually start seeing changes in my body. I started seeing them, and they kind of started coming pretty fast. Like, it seemed to kind of all happen pretty fast. So by the time, I want to say, you know, January, February rolled around, I was really starting to see significant changes in my body, in my weight, in the pounds. And I really started feeling more like my true self. So I would just encourage you guys to really stick to it, because I hear a lot of people say, you know, that's too hard. I can't control myself around cheesecake. I can't control myself around cookies. They gave cookies out at church on Sunday. And I was like, seriously, like I saw all these people, like it's flu season and all these people are eating the cookies, you know? And I'm like, my kids go, this is just a rant. My kids go, Mommy, why can't we have the cookie? And I'm like, it's flu season. You can't have the cookie. Like sugar turns off your immune system. You need to stop. You need to not eat that. And then, my 8-year-old son says, but all the other adults have them. And I said, they shouldn't be eating them either. So I'm totally like teaching my children to be judgy. I told you, you're going to get the real me tonight. I'm just not pulling any punches. So anyways, I kind of got off track there, but I started feeling like my true self. And the other thing that kind of fueled me was people around me started becoming inspired. Like they were looking at my journey and they were saying, oh man, watching you has really encouraged me to get out there and try. And that actually fueled me a lot. Like I felt like, oh my gosh, this thing that God has me, this journey that God has me on is making a difference in other people's lives. So it made me want to keep doing it even more. I think that when you're in community and you have other people doing life with you and they see what you're going through, I mean, haven't you ever been inspired by someone around you, by their resolve, by their determination, by their, by their unwillingness to quit? Like they just won't quit. It's inspiring. And I think that when you are that person that you get to inspire other people, it really fuels you even more. It's like much more, honestly, it was much more powerful for me than results. Results were great, but the fact that I could see that I was having an impact on other people's lives was huge for me. I like to do things in community. I don't really like to do things on my own. So that was huge. Okay. So, then eventually I started realizing that I was experiencing freedom. I was experiencing freedom from sugar addiction. I was experiencing freedom in the fact that I got to go and pick out clothes that I enjoyed versus clothes that just fit. I was enjoying the freedom of being able to move my body around in ways that I couldn't before. Like I know this probably seems kind of small and insignificant, but the day that I could actually cross my legs. So like before I had to sort of rest my ankle on my knee. Like I couldn't really fold my leg over my other leg. I don't remember the day when I lost the ability to do that. Like, because it seems like a very slow process to become overweight, but it really, have you ever heard that phrase? Give it time because it took time to put the weight on. So it's going to take time to take the weight off. It doesn't take as much time as you think. And so, but it does take a long time to put the weight on. And I didn't really notice that I was getting bigger. Like I just didn't notice, until I got to a point. So, but yeah, I mean, it was really, let's see, I'm trying to, if you don't have yourself muted, let's see, I think some people are not using sound at all, but somebody requested that we mute all. It's probably, there might be some interference. And you also might be hearing my children, so that might be what's causing the noise. But I don't know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. Okay, anyways, so I started noticing that I had freedom and that I was able to help other people and that those two go together. When you're free, I was talking about crossing my legs. Yes, it was really great to be able to cross my legs. Like that just seemed like the simplest thing. But I noticed that my body was changing. That was a result. So, I mean, yes, that is the point where you can start to see things from a new perspective. And it doesn't become so much about the number on the scale, but the number on the scale has to go down before you get to that point where you see those results, right? So it does, those are intertwined. So if you're telling yourself, I think for me, a lot of times I got super discouraged because I couldn't not do the things that people were saying not to do. Like, don't look at the scale. I couldn't not do that. And so I felt like a failure, right? So like, if you're looking at the scale every single morning, you go, like you do it. Start tracking it, like see what works for you, see what doesn't work. Just remember that number is going to fluctuate. Okay. I think we all know that. But yeah, I mean, when you're free and when you're healthy and when you're seeing results, that is when you are now in a position to be able to help other people. When we are totally in survival mode and we are just in chains with addiction or with health issues that make us schedule our life around our health issues, we stop being in a position to help other people. And that is not the life that God has for us. And I think that's ultimately what kind of snapped me out of the fog of life, was realizing that I was not on mission for God. Like, I was not fully walking in my calling, my purpose, because I was not healthy. Like, I was not in a health-wise a position to do that. I was heavily fatigued. I had chronic headaches. I just was not in a place where I could really be well enough to take care of my family the way I know God wants me to. Laziness was part of that too, but that's something I'm still working on. That doesn't have to do, I don't have a weight excuse for that one. It's a process. I still have a ways to go. My goal weight is 139. I know that seems random, but when I set that goal, at that point I was 193, and I decided I was going to flip my weight. So I was going to go from 193 to 139. So that's my new goal. And I am currently, since I got off the Candida diet, I have actually gained a few pounds. So I gave myself some time to just transition from the Candida diet to whatever my new lifestyle is going to be. And that's still kind of up in the air. And I tell you that because I want you guys to understand that this is a process. It is about progress, not perfection. This pursuit of perfection will destroy your ability to have progress. And it will steal your joy. So don't do that, because the stress, did you guys know that you can actually put weight on just by stressing? So the stress of trying to seek perfection is going to get you. So give yourself grace, all the grace, okay? So I'm just going to tell you guys a few things that really worked for me. I decided, that's probably the first thing. So I decided that the pain of staying the same was worse than the pain of change. That is a place you have to get to. If you don't get to that point, nothing you do will ever work. Okay? Because you've got to decide. If you don't make a firm decision, firm resolve, and you're just waffling, I know what that feels like. I waffle on lots of things all the time, and those things don't get accomplished. But this one thing, I decided I am not going to waffle on this. I am not going to start Monday. I am not going to give up. I am not going to take a break. It's going to be this until I win. Like, that is what it's going to be. The second thing I did was I released the weight emotionally. So this is something that I learned a couple years ago. I went to convention for Young Living, and the owner, Gary Young, he actually just made this comment in passing. He said that when you're trying to get rid of weight that you don't want, you have to release it. Like, you have to emotionally let it go. Because a lot of times we define ourselves by our weight. And I have lived overweight. I have defined myself as overweight since I was 19 years old. So that's many, many, many years. So if you've defined yourself as overweight or not the weight you want to be for more than a couple of years, it's time to just let that go. It's time to let that identity go. It is time to see yourself a different way. And it's time to just break up with the pounds. Like, just say, I don't need you anymore. Okay? It's not me, it's you. Like, I don't know what else. I don't know. Like, kick it in the pants. I don't know. But you've got to somehow emotionally visualize it going away, visualize you breaking up with it. It's time for it to go. And I literally did that. Like I said, you know what? I don't need you anymore. I don't need you, pounds. I don't need you. Like, we're done here. I'm done with you. You can go find somebody else, whatever. I'm sure. Have a happy life. Like, I broke up with them. I said goodbye. I chose the eating boundaries that fit my health needs. It was not a generic decision. I knew that my health needs dictated that I go on the Candida diet. So I'm not telling you that you have to go on the Candida diet. That may not be right for you. So you need to look at your health needs, look at your symptoms, see what sorts of things, like if you have a hormone imbalance, you may want to look into working on your hormones, things like that. And choose eating boundaries, not necessarily a diet. For me, it was pretty cut and dried. I have Candida overgrowth. I need the Candida diet. Like, there was actually a diet for that. There may not be a diet for your particular situation. You may just need to choose some boundaries. I told my friends what I was doing, and I went live on social media. Now, you might be terrified of going live on social media. Amanda, I know you're not. I see you on social media all the time going live. You have lots of fun with your kids. I love it. So I went on social media and I just said what I was doing. And that held me accountable, because I knew that when you tell the world, you're doing it. I mean, Amy does a great job of this. She posts on social media a lot that she's doing Camp Gladiator, and she sticks to it. And do you do that for accountability too? You do? Yeah. I mean, that's genius. Like, it makes you go. Like, when your friends are like, hey, I haven't seen you. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it helps me. I don't post every single time I go, but I will post most days, at least once or twice a week, so that people know that that's my lifestyle, and also that it keeps me accountable, to keep going, and people know that that's what I do. So
it's your way of life, and it is part of your identity. Like, it's not your identity, but it's part of it. It's part of who you are as a healthy person. And when you do that, you are identifying yourself with people. Like, they will see you as a healthy person, and that only helps you. Like, when people see you that way, and when you think of yourself that way, it took me a really long time to label myself a healthy person. I did not define myself as a healthy person. And guess what? I stayed unhealthy. When I started defining myself as a healthy person, I started becoming healthy. So how you look at yourself and what you tell the world about yourself, that is going to be, that is going to be how you see yourself, and that's going to be how other people see yourself, and that's going to become your reality. So the last thing I did, and some of you guys might like grumble at this, but I did not have cheat days. I don't believe in cheat days. I think cheat days are a bad idea. For me, I was recovering from sugar addiction. Guess what? Addicts don't get cheat days. You don't go into rehab and take a cheat day on Sundays, and say you're going to start again on Monday. If you go into rehab and you have a bad day, they give you your 1 day chip. Like, you go back to day one. For me, I knew that's what would happen. If I took a cheat day, I would go back to day one. And the other thing is, when you're on the Candida diet, anything and everything you eat that feeds Candida, it's going to feed Candida on Sundays. Remember, Sunday calories don't count, holiday calories don't count, birthday calories don't count, church calories don't count. What am I leaving out? Okay? Candida doesn't care. Like, it eats what it eats. And that's the thing, guys. Like, ignorance is not bliss. All the calories count, all the fat counts, all the everything counts. And our bodies don't distinguish or discern, this is vacation, so live it up, or this is Sunday, so live it up, or this is church, so live it up. Our bodies just do what they do. So when I realized this, that I had to basically be perfect, which was very stressful, I knew I couldn't take a cheat day. I knew that I just had to stick to this. This was going to be my lifestyle. You can erase a ton of progress by doing a cheat day. You really can. But That said, I will give you a little bit of wiggle room because remember, this is not about perfection, it's about progress. Maybe your cheat day isn't about just, carb loading or eating all the cheesecake. It would have been me, hashtag all the cheesecake. That's what a cheat day would have looked like. Maybe your cheat day looks like you eat a little bit larger portions. You just loosen the reins a little bit, but you're doing your lifestyle. You're just doing it a little bit more relaxed. Maybe you don't count calories that day. I mean, you don't go crazy. You just don't write everything down. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you give yourself, a little bit of extra, whatever, like whatever you enjoy eating that day, you give yourself a little extra. But if you go hog wild on your cheat day, you're going to feel really sad about that because you've made all this progress. Don't erase it. I think we lost some people to the cheat day comment. So, all right. The next thing I want to talk about is myths. So there are some weight loss myths that I discovered on this journey. I'm going to burst some bubbles. Unfortunately, I'm a bubble burster tonight. And actually, this one is going to encourage you because you're going to love this one. The fat-free / low-fat myth, okay? That is not a thing. If something is supposed to have fat and doesn't, then guess what? You're eating chemicals, okay? And that is going to destroy your hormones, which will cause you to gain weight. So low fat, no fat, basically extra chemicals, that actually leads to weight gain. So eat fat. I just made everyone's night, okay? Go have some butter. I'm not talking about that oily margarine stuff that isn't actually real food. I'm talking about grass-fed Kerrygold butter, okay? That stuff is delicious. Eat some. Get yourself some coconut oil, some like good cold-pressed organic coconut oil, okay? Check where the source is. Don't get it, the cheapest brand you can find off the shelf at Walmart. Don't get that kind of coconut oil. Get the kind that's good. Costco has a good coconut oil. I buy my coconut oil from either Sprouts or I'll buy it on Amazon as long as I can check the source. So get some coconut oil and have some fat. You can cook with it. You can put it in your coffee, your tea. It melts. It's tasteless. It's not odorless, but I actually like coconut a lot. So I like the smell of coconut. But if you can't stand coconut, just go eat some butter. Okay, so now that I made your day, eat fat. Cheat day calories don't count. We already talked about that, that myth. Ignorance is not bliss. We already talked about that myth. Okay, here's another one. Exercise will make you lose weight. Now, I am not saying that it will not make you lose weight. I am just saying that a lot of times exercise gets a lot more credit than it should. Have you guys ever heard of the 80-20 rule? I'm talking about the ratio of food and exercise. So 80% of your weight loss or your weight reduction, I don't like the phrase weight loss because you tend to find things you lose. So I don't really say lose weight. Your weight reduction, 80% of that is going to be attributed to what you eat or what you don't eat. 20% of it will be attributed to your physical movement, your body movement, okay? So if you're exercising mostly and still eating junk food, you're going to be erasing your progress with the exercise. Exercise is so good for you. It helps your body, the processes of your body work better. It helps your digestion work better. It helps with circulation. It helps with your hormones. It helps with your mood. It helps with all sorts of things. So it is really important and it's really good for you, but it is not everything. So it's actually a small percentage, 20%, 80% is going to be what you eat. So some of you will be relieved because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I've been working out like a crazy person. I haven't been losing any weight. That totally explains why. Or I've been working out like a crazy person and I really hate it. I wish that I could just do something else. Like, you could start focusing on your diet. Just full disclosure, okay? Because remember, this is progress, not perfection. I worked out, well, I did a 30-day workout challenge in 2017. And then I maybe worked out a handful of times outside of that the whole year. And I am down 40 pounds. So that is just basically proof that exercise is not everything. Now, do I wish I had exercised? Yes. Do I think that you can just sit on the couch all year and eat better and lose weight? Meh. You probably need to move around. Like, your digestion needs to be working properly for you to lower your weight. Like, your digestion has to be working. Like, if all that stuff is staying in and your digestion is really slow, you're not going to be expelling things. Like, it's just, you know, basic math. If you eat a lot of food and it never comes out, like, you're just not going to be getting your weight down. So you need to be moving around. You need to be exercising. It's good for your health. Okay. So make a good choice. Exercising more and with more frequency and more consistency is totally on my vision board this year. It's totally one of my goals. Have I done it yet? No, but maybe you guys could hold me accountable, because I'm telling you. Here's another myth. Heredity. Like, you're hereditary. It's hereditary. My mom is big boned and overweight, so I'm going to be big boned and overweight. Like, guess what, guys? Nope. Okay. I'm actually pretty ashamed to say my mom and I, we have the exact same body type. I am not ashamed of that. My mom has a rockin' body. Okay. We have the exact same body type. We gain weight or lose weight in the same areas, in the same places. We walk the same. Like, it's crazy. Like, our bodies look a lot alike. The year before I went on this journey, my mom went vegan. Like, she had this nutritionist guy come to her work and talk about food and everything. And so she decided to go vegan for a season, not like forever, but for a season. And she went down, I want to say 30 or 40 pounds that year. And she was exercising too. She was doing the whole thing. Like, she was super healthy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, she totally inspired me. I have to give her credit for helping me to start this journey, because she totally inspired me. But she's 25 years older than me, okay? And she was several sizes smaller than I was. Okay, so my hereditary excuse went out the window. I mean, guys, she had 2 children, 3.5 years apart, me and my brother. Both of them were C-sections, okay? I had 2 children, 3.5 years apart, both C-sections, all right? So I could claim hereditary whatever all day long until my mom went and lost 30 pounds and put me to shame. So, so if you guys need like a control group, case study, experiment, science, whatever, there you go. I made myself the guinea pig for you. You have no choice because of your genes. It's just not a thing. There may be some health issues that do run in your family. Like maybe a weak thyroid runs in your family, but your thyroid can be healed. Your thyroid can be supported. Your hormones can be healed and supported. Okay. So there's just a very small percentage, way less than we think. So that is just not holding you back. Like, you can change things. You do have a choice. So hopefully that frees you up. Okay. Some lesser known reasons why you can't lose weight. These are some things that I didn't know about. I didn't know that these were things. I didn't know that hormone imbalance could lead to difficulty in losing weight. All right. I did not know that. I didn't know that your hormones and your weight were connected. That was on the beginning of my health journey. And I very quickly found out that my thyroid was totally wrecked. Like, I had to get 2 biopsies done on my thyroid because I was getting nodules, and they told me that I was going to have to go get these biopsies every 6 months for the rest of my life, and basically just wait for cancer to show up. I wasn't okay with that. So I decided to go all natural and all healthy and be my own health advocate. that's a different story for another day. But I'm happy to report that my thyroid is healed. Like, my thyroid is working perfectly fine. It does not create nodules. I don't have to go back and get biopsies. 2 of my friends had to have their thyroid removed. They are my age. And I just decided that's not the path I want for myself. So I turned things around by the grace of God. Everything I did, well, most of the things I did really helped. And I can talk about that later. I can't really tie those things together in this talk because that would be considered diagnosing, treating, curing, whatever. And I'm not a doctor. So we can talk support and solutions later. But I can tell you that this lifestyle has made all the difference in my health. I no longer suffer chronic sinus infections, chronic headaches, thyroid issues, none of that. So that has made a huge difference in my ability to reduce my weight, because with a non-functioning thyroid, that controls metabolism, right? So you could be doing everything you can you can be exercising to boost metabolism. You could be eating the right number of times a day, the right whatever. But if your thyroid's out of whack, like, it's not going to let you do it. It's just not going to let you do it. Adrenals also have a huge impact on your metabolism, your energy, your ability to process cortisol. If you're, have you guys ever heard of like well, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Basically, you store cortisol. If your adrenals are out of whack, they could be causing your body to go into like hyper alert, like fight or flight mode. Like if you suffer from like high anxiety or whatever, that could be a sign of your adrenals are messed up. And like if you never feel like you get enough sleep, like that could be that you have adrenal fatigue. That is not going to allow you to have the energy to work out or to, put 2 thoughts together, let alone lose weight. I mean, your cortisol, when it builds up and it overproduces, it will actually store fat in the belly. So you need to work on seeing if you have an adrenal imbalance. Endocrine problems, endocrine imbalance, diabetes, like those sorts of things. That could be pancreas issues or blood sugar balance issues that can cause weight to just pack on and not go off. Emotional weight. I didn't know that was a thing. That is actually a thing. Stress causes you to hold on to weight, to retain water, to retain fat. So managing your stress is super important. There's lots of ways to manage your stress. You can go on Pinterest, manage my stress. There's like 8 million things for you to do. Just pick one and do it for a month and see how it goes. It doesn't have to be complicated. Here's one that you may or may not be aware of: petrochemical accumulation or toxin accumulation. So pretty much whenever your body is in toxin overload, it's going to store those toxins and protect your body as best as it can, because your body can't process the amount of toxins that are going into the body. So basically, if you have items in your house that have synthetic fragrance, that have personal care products that have parabens, sulfates, so like sodium lauryl sulfate, propylene glycol. Amy, can you type some things in the comments that are toxic ingredients in personal care products so people can see like just some of the things they're supposed to look out for? Because I'm drawing a blank. Triclosan, different things that are in, dyes, preservatives. These things can cause all the things I mentioned. They can cause hormone problems. They can cause endocrine disruption. They can actually cause brain fog or like problems with your thyroid, adrenals. And I won't go into the details of how that happens, but basically we are being bombarded constantly with toxins that our body can't process. It can process a certain amount, but it can't process them all. And so what it does to protect us, it's actually genius, is it encapsulates the toxins in fat, because fat will protect the organs. So fat, it will encapsulate the toxins in fat and push it away from the organs to protect the organs. So this can cause, inflammation. because inflammation is another way the body protects itself from harmful foreign invaders, is by cushioning everything. So it pushes it away from the muscles, away from the organs, away from the things that your body needs to function. So your body will just kind of go into hyper alert mode. It can increase white blood cell count so that your immune system is in hyper alert. So if you have an autoimmune, it could be that you have like too much inflammation and your body's just in hyper alert mode, constantly trying to fight. This could be a result of toxin overexposure. So removing things from your house that have all of these ingredients in them and replacing them with all natural products, that will stop impeding your ability to lose weight. It will start enhancing your ability to release this weight, because your body isn't going to have to fight and process those toxins. It can be busy doing metabolism things and processing the foods you're eating and bringing nutrients from the foods to your blood cells. Okay, so if your body is just in survival mode, you're not going to be able to reduce your weight if your body's in survival mode. It's just not going to happen. Your body is processing too much. It can't do it all. It can't multitask like that. It can multitask a lot, but we're just asking it to do too much. So also, by detoxing the body, guess what? Your body no longer needs to encapsulate anything with fat. So the fat goes. All right, so that extra belly fat, that could be a result of your body fighting toxins and encapsulating it with fat. So when you detox, that fat doesn't need to be there anymore, okay? So that was something that was hugely eye-opening to me, and it totally explained why now, this season in my life, why changing the foods that I eat will allow me to reduce my weight. That totally explains it, because my body's not fighting toxin overexposure, my hormones are working properly, things are in balance. And so my body is just doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, so a few final thoughts and then we're done. And I know this has been a little bit long, but I have a lot to say. So hopefully this is helping you guys. A few final thoughts. Number one, your words matter. The words that you say matter. You may notice that I've been really careful not to say weight loss. I know I've said it a few times, but it is truth that we tend to look for the things that we lose. And I don't really want to look for those pounds that are gone. So when we are talking about our weight, it's really important to use words that our body understands and will help to bring into reality. So if we say things like, I release this weight, or I'm letting go of the weight, or I don't need that weight anymore, I'm reducing my weight, things like that. I'm dropping the pounds, whatever. Those are things that will help just kind of enhance the process. Dieting. So I heard this at convention for Young Living, and I just thought it was so fascinating. To me, the word diet just means, it doesn't mean like a temporary thing that you go on and then you stop and then you eat all the things you ate before. Like that is not going to sustain change. The Whole30, Jolyn and I were having a conversation about that the other day, and she had a great perspective on the Whole30. Are y'all familiar with the Whole30? It's literally just a 30-day diet where you help change your relationship with sweets and sugar and processed foods. It's a really great diet, but I was just basically saying, I can't stand the Whole30 because, you can't sustain change that way. Like, you get to the end and then what? You just eat everything and then you just gain all the weight. Like, I just didn't like, and I knew it took at least 3 months for me to change my relationship with sugar. How is 30 days going to do anything for anyone? Like, I was just kind of like ranting about it. And she was like, well, if you do all the research and you read everything that they tell you about the Whole30 diet, and you follow every single rule, you don't take cheat days, you don't, whatever, you don't sort of kind of do it, you really do it. And then if you do they actually have a transition at the end of how to get back to, a different lifestyle. And it is about a lifestyle change, and it's supposed to help reset your mind and your body so that you can have a new lifestyle change. If you do all those things, it's a great diet. But if you just do the 30-day thing and you kind of sort of do it, it's just not going to sustain anything. And that's how it is with any diet that you choose. So for me, when I say the word diet, I think of diet is just, what are the foods you eat? Like, what is your diet? Like, do you eat these foods? Do you eat those foods? What is your diet like? You know, to me, that just is what that means. But I heard this thing at convention where they basically said the word die is in diet. And I don't want to die. So, they recommend not using the word diet at all. Because our brains just don't really just discern or differentiate between certain words. They hear what we say and they want to do what we say. Because the brain is a computer with switches on and off, ones and zeros. It's like a computer. So it wants to do what we tell it to do. And if we tell it confusing things, it doesn't know what to do. So we need to speak clearly about what our intentions are, and we need to speak life over everything that's going on. And there's lots of scripture in the Bible about speaking life, speaking life-giving words. And so this is totally something that you know is held up by scripture. But start speaking life over what you're going to do. Start speaking life over your goals. Start speaking life over your intentions. You know, I choose to release this weight this year. I choose to let it go. I choose to reduce my weight by this many pounds. I choose to exercise on a regular basis and care for my body and glorify God with my body. Speak life over it, okay? And when you're starting to feel like really negative about stuff, speak life over that too. You know, today's challenging, but I choose to trust that it's going to turn out well. You know, like just start turning your words around. And that makes a huge difference. That makes a huge difference in your outlook, makes a huge difference in how long you're able to sustain your efforts towards your goals. It's easier to not give up when you speak life. I already talked about lifestyle versus diet. Choose a lifestyle. Don't just do this for a season. Choose the way that the boundaries that you're going to set on what you eat. I had to change my words because I'm no longer on the Candida diet, but I still have boundaries for what I eat. And I find myself saying things like, I can't eat sugar. I can't eat this. I can't eat those. But I decided that I'm going to say, I don't eat those foods, and just own it as my lifestyle. Like I've decided that I am no longer going to eat gluten, dairy, or sugar. And if I do budge on one of those, it's going to probably be gluten or dairy, and it'll probably be like the healthiest version of dairy, you know, or goat dairy or something like that. That's a little bit easier for my stomach to process. But I've just chosen that that's going to be my lifestyle from now on, and I'm okay with it. I don't feel restricted. I don't feel like I'm losing out, because I know what those foods do to my stomach, and I just don't want to live that. You know, I don't want to have that, you know, constant issues. So choose what works for you. Don't sit here and go, oh gosh, Jess talked about this Candida diet for an hour, so now I have to do that. If that is the diet that you choose, don't you love that? If that is the plan that you choose, then we can talk and I can give you ideas and what worked for me and stuff like that. Otherwise, you know, do some research and find out what are your health issues? What are the things you need to address? And pick a plan that matches that. Pick a plan that fits your lifestyle. Like, are you a working mom who has very few hours to prepare meals? If so, the Whole30 may not be a good plan for you, because with the Whole30, you literally have to make everything. You're not even allowed to eat even if you were going to eat like a gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, whatever free cookie, you can't do that on the Whole30. Everything has to be simple ingredients from what I know, from what I've heard. So that may not be the plan that you choose for yourself. Be realistic. Like, know your limitations, know yourself, know that it's going to be really hard at first, and take that into account. Give yourself grace. It is so important because you're going to be doing this for either a season or for a lifetime, based on what you choose, based on what you're led to do. So give yourself grace that this is a process. You do not have to be perfect. I thought I had to be perfect going into the Candida diet. And so I was very strict. It stressed me out. It stressed my family out. And I choose not to. I like that. I was very stressed at the beginning because I gave myself zero grace and zero tolerance to make a mistake. First of all, you're going to make mistakes. Like, I look back and I went, oh yeah, I should not have been eating that. I had no idea it fed Candida, and I was eating it for like 3 weeks. And here I was sitting here going, I have to be perfect. I have to be perfect. And I was making a mistake for 3 weeks and didn't even know. And I went, oh, well, gee, I hope that didn't ruin all my progress. I have no idea if it did or not. Oh, well, like go forward, you know, like just go forward. Forget it, go forward. Give yourself grace. Don't let it cause you to feel guilt, shame, whatever. If you have a slip up and you literally like choose to make a mistake, like it's a on purpose mistake, give yourself forgiveness. Like it's okay. It's okay. Hashtag all the grace. So, know your body, like seriously. And I'm not talking about like know your body's limitations. I'm talking about get to know your body. Like find out if you have a hormone imbalance. Do some research. Google it up. Like I self-diagnosed my hypothyroidism back in the day, which I no longer have. But back in the day, I had to figure out what was wrong with me so I could figure out how to fix it. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. So I went online and I just looked up symptoms of thyroid problems, and I just started reading. I started reading like, what do I need to look at? What's going on in my body? Like, you've got to know what's going on in your body. Become aware. There's so many things that we get used to as normal that can be cured, that can be healed. And they can be through different lifestyle changes. We don't have to be under the tyranny of health problems constantly. Like, there are so many people out with the flu right now. It is ridiculous. And it is literally, excuse me, it is literally, there's a school in McKinney that had to shut down because so many kids were out with the flu. And that is not freedom. Like, that's a lot of families right now that are going to doctors and they can't afford to go to the doctor. They can't afford whatever. So don't take anything that you're dealing with as normal. Get ready to define a new normal, a new standard of what's okay for your body. Because you're going to notice that as you go on this journey, and you may not reduce your weight right away, but you will gradually reduce your weight. And along with it, you're going to feel the fruits of that choice. You're going to like be released from a lot of health issues that you've been dealing with, probably. I don't know. But you're going to be surprised at what you've grown used to over the years. So don't take any of that at face value. Like, look into all of it. Like, if there's anything going on with your health that you don't like, Google it up. Like, I wake up snotty every morning. Like, that is not normal, by the way. A lot of people think that's normal. Oh, it's dry outside. Oh, it's the flu season or whatever. It's allergy season. That is not normal to wake up snotty every morning. Okay? I mean, it may be normal in our culture, but it doesn't have to be normal for you. Like, there is another level of health. So that's what I mean by know your body. Know the things that you've gotten used to over the years and write them down. And you'll be surprised to see that a lot of those things fall off as you change your lifestyle with your health. Okay. So I want to give you some healthy food ideas, some places where you can get healthy foods. There's a website that I like to use. It's greenchef.com. This is a meal service. So if you're like me, busy, don't have time to cook, don't really want to have time to cook, let's face it, I probably do have time to cook. I just really don't want to. And even when you do, here's the reason why I don't like cooking, okay? Because cooking is pretty enjoyable. It really is. It's kind of relaxing. It's pretty enjoyable. But when you add to it the fact that I cook for an hour, then I don't really like what I made because I'm not super good at it. Let's face it. And I try to cook healthy, and then we sit down for dinner, and my 2 children come to the table and go, I don't want that. That's gross. I hate that. Okay? It is super demoralizing. Like, I'm just like, why? I just break my back cooking for an hour. I don't even like the food myself. Like, it didn't turn out right. Whatever. I was trying something new. It didn't turn out. And then everybody scarfs down whatever, or you fight with your kids just to get them to have a thank you bite. And then everyone leaves the table. They leave you with this massive mess, right? And it took like 10 minutes to eat. I'm like, you know what? I'm not saddling myself with an hour and a half worth of work for 10 minutes of food, you know? And so we were going out to eat. Before I started this journey, we were going out to eat 10 to 11 times a week because I was super discouraged. I was really discouraged about eating at home. super discouraged. It was more emotional than time-wise, than a time-wise issue. It was pretty much all emotional. But when I got the resolve to do this plan, I decided let's face it, when you're on the Candida diet, if you don't make the food yourself, you can't guarantee what's in it, and you have to know what's in all the food you eat because it may have sugar like hiding in there. So I had to start cooking a lot. And I needed a simple way to do it. So Green Chef is a great option because what they do is they send you pre-prepped ingredients and then a very simple to follow instruction with pictures. And it takes 30 to 40 minutes to make your meal. And it's a very healthy, very, very good meal. And I've noticed that I want to say restaurant quality, but it's actually better than restaurant quality because now when we go to restaurants, I'm like, I can make this at home. You know, like you used to go to restaurants and say, I can't make this at home. That's why I have to eat here, right? But no, it makes you feel like a super rock star. And so even when let's face it, the kids still whine about the food. But I don't care that they whine because I'm proud of what I did and I'm proud and I eat it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It tastes so good. And I still have yet to burn one, which is like a first. So if you're the person who doesn't cook very well and gets demoralized when your children complain, Green Chef is going to be good for you. If you're the person who if 30 minutes was all it took to cook a meal, heck, you do it all the time. That's a really good plan too. Then another website that I really like is Thrive Market. Thrive Market it's sort of like an online grocery store. They have tons and tons and tons of really good, clean, organic, non-GMO, gluten-free options, vegan options, vegetarian options. It is like Sprouts on steroids. So if you've ever been to Sprouts or a farmer's market, it's like that on steroids. But it's all dry goods. So you're not going to get like vegetables and stuff like that. It's like canned goods, anything in a jar, cereal. We buy our cereal from there. We buy all of our chips from there. We buy all sorts of stuff from there. Like that was really how I learned how to snack with healthy stuff. That's Thrive Market. So, another thing I wanted to leave you with, another final thought, is consider removing chemicals from your home. That will make a huge difference in your health overall. It will make a huge difference in your hormones to get that junk out of your house and your body is not having to fight so hard. If you have personally been on the journey of swapping out toxins from your home, if you could just type a little word or truth or whatever in the comments so that other people can see that this is sort of a movement that we're living now. People are starting to look at labels and they're starting to realize that, that's marketing. The labels are marketing and what's on the back of the label is information. So it's time to start reading the information on the back and not just looking at the marketing on the front. Because we are not being told truth on the front of the label anymore. On the back of the label is where it tells you all the things that are taxing your immune system, taxing your hormones, whatever. So I teach a lot of classes on that. If you guys want, you can, be looking out for classes like that. That is a whole process in and of itself. It took us 2 years to swap all the chemicals out of our house. So it is a process, but it is totally worth it. And I feel like that set the stage for me being able to have success on this journey. So, yeah. Okay. Next thing, set a small goal and stick to it. All right. You need a win. If you've been years without a win, you need a win because a small win will fuel you. You won't feel so much like mopping barefoot with thieves cleaner does double duty. I love that. That is so true. It's like immune supporting and you're putting it on your feet. I love it. Yes. So, yes. And the Think Dirty app, that is a very good resource because it will tell you what chemicals are in what you're buying and what you're, and why those chemicals are hurting you. That's very important. But set a small goal and stick to it and just fiercely be determined and resolved to accomplish that small goal no matter what. And then see when you accomplish that goal that you are capable of doing it. Because I didn't think I was capable of doing this. When I took that Strengths Finder 2.0 and determined that my bottom two strengths were consistency and discipline, my husband's jaw dropped. He said, how on earth have you been able to stick to this Candida diet for nearly a year if you don't have consistency or discipline? Like, how? And I told him, I took a minute to think about it because I was like, yeah, what about that? Like, how on earth? Passion. I have passion for days and I have resolve. I did not want to live that life anymore. I was ready for change. And I decided that I was going to win. This was not going to beat me. Okay. I decided to be the boss of it. It was not going to be the boss of me. I like being the boss. Okay. It was not going to beat me. So I set some small goals. I stuck to it. I felt proud. And then I kept going. All right. So figure out a little thing you can do. Set it a day at a time, a week at a time. You know, I managed to get through that sugar craving this afternoon. Woo! Like, don't reward yourself with cheesecake, but do something to reward yourself. Okay. Buy yourself a bottle of non-toxic nail polish. Okay. Like something. All right. If your issues that you're dealing with are finances and budget, don't buy yourself nail polish. Just find something that's free that makes you feel happy. And then expand your goal. So there's this concept that we teach in our school. I homeschool my children, and there's a concept that we go by. It's called easy plus one. So do something, get it under your belt, and do it well until it becomes easy. And then add one more thing. Okay, so that set a small goal, rock it hardcore until you beat it, until you make it, till you become the boss. And then add one more thing. Okay, add one more thing and say, I can do that. Because you're not drastically changing your life as much if you just do easy plus one. Okay, so think about that. Even in terms of like chemical swapping, like easy plus one, like start with your kitchen, swap everything in your kitchen and then add another room, whatever. That may not be easy plus one for you. Easy plus one may be one thing, switch one thing. Okay, last thing, do research. I'm gonna give you a few references that I really like. Weston A. Price. That is a really good website where you can get legit information. There is so much opinion out there, and a lot of it is false. A lot of it is, hate to say it, but a lot of it is like pharmaceutical propaganda. Like when I research, like if I research an ingredient of some kind and I know it's a healthy ingredient, the first thing that comes up, Weston A. Price. The first thing that usually comes up is like WebMD saying, warning, warning, coconut oil is harmful for your health. Like they do that. They do that. And so you have to be careful of the sources that you look at because a lot of them will try to fear monger you into not being healthy. So Weston A. Price is a very solid source for good information. Dr. Mercola, so that's Mercola. That is a lot of good information about foods and diet and the things that you eat and things that can help you and things that can harm you. If you really want to be scared out of your pants, there is a really crazy article on Dr. McCullough's site about it's like something like the 76 ways sugar is killing you. It's very eye-opening. If you want to remain ignorant, you don't go look at it, but it is very eye-opening. The Essential Oils Desk Reference, that is by Life Science Publishers. That's on discoverlsp.com. Discoverlsp.com. It's called the Essential Oils Desk Reference. So that is not just telling you how to use your oils. If you have essential oils, that's not just telling you how to use them, but it is also, there's a ton of great information in there about how to have a healthy liver, how to have a healthy heart, how to have a healthy hormones, endocrine system. It's kind of like a college course. On health. It is so, so great. Every time I open it, I learn something new about my health. It also has plans on how to detox your body, how to get started, how to take charge of your health. There's so many good things in there. The Think Dirty app, somebody already recommended. The Think Dirty app is, don't Google that you're going to get some crazy stuff. But if you go to the app store and search Think Dirty app, you're going to find that app, and it's really great. You can scan barcodes at the store and find out the chemicals that are, it rates all the products based on 0 to 10, whatever's the most harmful is 10, and it tells you the specific ingredients that are harmful in there and why. Then the Environmental Working Group, which is ewg.org, they also have an app called Skin Deep, which is another thing I would not Google, but you can go to the apps. Why do all these apps, like they're for health, like why do they sound so dirty? So go to the App Store and search for Skin Deep, and there's an app there that sort of does the same thing. I like EWG to be able to look up specific ingredients. So like if I don't know if an ingredient, like if I'm reading a label and I know 90% of the ingredients and whether or not they're, like if I'm looking and 90% of the ingredients are okay, then I see one and I'm like, I don't even know what that ingredient is, like PEG 10 or PEG 80. Like, what does that even mean? I'll go on the ewg.org site and search that specific ingredient, and it tells you why, if that ingredient is healthy or not, or harmful. So that is all my resources. There's so many more, but if you guys want to, you can send me a message on Facebook and say, is this source a good source or whatever. I don't mind telling you if I've used it, if I haven't used it, if it works. Yeah, so that's all my resources, but basically that's everything I had to say. I know it was long. I really appreciate you guys sticking with. I hope that this was super encouraging to you. I hope that you feel equipped to knock out your weight goals this year. Please reach out to me on Facebook and let me know if you need prayer or anything to help you on your journey. I was so blessed by the people around me that were praying for me through this whole thing. I honestly think that bolstered me and helped me to have that resolve, to know where I was going and that I wasn't going to stop until I got there. So if you're just getting started, my heart goes out to you, because that is the hardest time, is when you're just getting started. So reach out and let me know how I can support you and pray for you. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a blessing to me to be able to share my story with you guys. I got through it without crying. It got a little sketchy there a couple times, but but I kept it together. So please let me know how I can help you guys. But thank you so much for watching. I will officially conclude the class and stop the recording. If you want to turn on your microphones and ask questions, now would be the time to do that.